Hello, hockey fans. My name is David. Thought I would start this video at 3:37 on the afternoon of Wednesday, 23rd of November, 2022, North American Eastern Time. I thought I would primarily make this video in response to one by the Hockey Guy YouTube man about claims about grades that various NHL teams had deserved. I'm going to focus on the Canadian teams, but first, I thought I would do is just a few hours ago. Just give me a moment here. We have this. The Leafs acquiring a defenseman from the Yotes, sending center Curtis Douglas the other way. So what I would do is go to, let me just see here. Alright, so we go to so let's see where Leafs are now with respect to the roster. So, they basically have, well, according to Cap Friendly, there's not really a lot of cap space they have. So let me go here that they. So we have. Oops, sorry that. Just gonna close that there. All right. So we have. Well, they don't really have. Or where's the defenseman again? Let's see what we have here. Nope, they don't have anyone yet. Well, they have Petrucelli and Wall in the minors. So Cap Friendly shows. So Victor Mete and Mac Hollowell were recalled from the Toronto Marlies to replace Morgan Riley. So, yeah. So, but before I get into the the grades I give to Canadian teams for at the quarter mark of this season, basically anywhere between at most 23 games in. I thought I would mention as well that in response to the Wednesday Eastern Time Locked On Leafs episode co-hosted by the regular co-host of Dave Moore Studio Sportsnet and Mike DiStefano, TSN personality, who with Judith Takeri is known for co-hosting on Toronto sports radio station TSN 50, that radio station's lunchtime show, Leafs Lunch. So yeah, Leafs are going to be in tough against the Devils. And in terms of goalie start, I don't really know. But there's no doubt that the Leafs desperately need wins. And in terms of where I put the Leafs, so what I do now is put my grades based on let's see here. Alright, so what's going to do is alright. I'm going to just do. So for the grading system used by the University of Toronto's Faculty of Arts and Science, pretty much covering undergrad programs that aren't necessarily professional ones. So basically, from the Advice Writing website, what I'm going to do is to refer to this here. So basically, yeah, I can have all these grades here and all that. When it comes to specifics, like whether it's A+, whatever, A-, I don't know I'm going to use them. Basically, for the purposes of this grading exercise, I give An A means a minimum grade out of 100 of 80. A B means a grade in the 70s. A C means a grade in the 60s. A D, for as in Daniel, means a grade in the 50s. And an F means a grade below 50. 50 is a pass. So what I would do is, when I take into account my my the league rank, the grades, I also take into account if a team is in a playoff spot, how secure it is, and if a team is not in a playoff spot. All right, so I'm gonna just go. All right, so what I do is. Alright, so just gonna go. Alright, so I do apologize if the lighting is not very good. So I'll get in a moment as to where various Canadian teams are and the security of their playoff spots. So in terms of points ahead in a top 3 divisional spot or not, or how far they're in the playoff spot. The Leafs, we have the Jets. We have, in terms of a playoff spot, the Jets are 3 points away, 3 points clear of the Preds in their own division. The Preds and Blues. But because the Jets have played, have played as many games as, in terms of Central Division teams, the Arizona Coyotes, the original Jet squad, but have played fewer games than any remaining rival, meaning the Jets have, could be on the way up. So it'll be rather important to win the game, but again, it's hard to complain too much. If the Jets can keep on winning, I see no reason why, at the very least, they can't remain in third by the end of the night. As long as they win. What that's going to do is it's going to see what the games are going to be. So, yes. It's going to go there. The Jets and Minnesota Wild. So Jets have complete control over their destiny. It's going to be a road game. So the Minnesota Wild are in 5th in the in the Western wildcard race. 5 points behind the Winnipeg Jets for the top 3 Central Division spot. So the Jets can make their hold on a top 3 Central Division spot a bit more secure with a win, particularly if it occurs in regulation. The Jets have 15 points over their previous 10 games, so that's very good. So on that respect, I predicted going into the season that the Jets would end the regular season no better than 6th, and therefore automatically out of the playoff spot. That hasn't happened. Who would have thought? The new systems brought in under head coach Rick Bowness, even when he was away because he had tested positive for COVID. So now to go to the Leafs, also in a top 3 divisional spot, in 2nd, and also vulnerable, but again among teams in their own division, indeed in the Eastern Conference, where things matter the most, at least among wildcard teams and divisional and Atlantic Division ones. Leafs have played more games than any of the remaining teams. So with pretty much most teams in action in the NHL, I can't really think of which teams are not in action, but there are going to be quite a number of them. So the Leafs had better win, and even and hopefully they'll be in regulation, because in overtime, Leafs haven't had much, haven't had a lot of luck. So 5 losses versus 1 win, not good. So So in terms of I'd say I'd give the Leafs a B. In terms of the Habs, where they were expected to be, well, at this point, 3 points out of the nearest available playoff spot, they're doing pretty good. I mean, not doing great, but with an average of a point per game over 19 games, I mean, they're hanging around. They're not making life easy for the Leafs, Lightning, Wings, or Panthers. That said, the Habs are still vulnerable to dropping down, as the Sabres and Sens have. So basically, when it comes to, again, so I'd say that I give the Habs a B, like the hockey guy did. So what about the Alberta teams? So when it comes to the Alberta teams, I look at the Calgary Flames, with 20 points earned over 18 games played. So a points percentage of 55.6, rounded to the nearest thousandth of a percentage point, or excuse me, the nearest hundredth, the nearest tenth of a percentage point. 55.6 is ties. Is a tie with the St. Louis Blues in the Western Conference wildcard race. So what does that mean? But because the Blues have won 8 games of regulation versus just 7 for the Flames, the Blues take the first wildcard spot, the Flames the second. Either way, the Flames are 3 points behind the Seattle Kraken, a squad that has played the same number of games as the Flames, 18. So, but also just 1 game, 1 point further back of the LA Kings, of an LA Kings squad that has played 22 games. So, yeah, so the Flames have games in hand, but they gotta win those. On this Wednesday evening Eastern Time, the Flames will be in Pittsburgh to face the local Penguins squad. With the Penguins having won 3 straight games and having earned 12 points over their last 10. Flames, by contrast, have earned just 10, but have a win streak of their own at 2 games. But a losing streak from earlier in the month, which was 7 games and resulted in just 2 points, means the Flames are down at, they're vulnerable. And they're down, 20 points over 18 games, vulnerable to dropping out. So I give them a C because expectations were so, weren't the Flames supposed to be doing in a better spot in the Pacific? Yep. They're not a top 3 divisional spot, and, only because the Flames have played as many games as the St. Louis Blues, but fewer than the Oilers or Preds, are the Flames in a playoff spot at all. But that could change. Who knows what could happen? It's going to be very interesting. So, again, the Flames got to win. If they don't win, they're not going to stay up. They're not likely to stay up in a playoff spot, depending on what happens with the Predators. Predator squad, I believe, let's see here. So, again, are the Preds out of action? Let's see. Oh yeah, against the Red Wings. So the Red Wings are in the Atlantic, 3 points behind the Leafs. The Preds have played the same number of games with the Flames, but we'll see what happens. So the Flames may not stay up, but we'll see. The Minnesota Wild. So it'll be interesting if the Flames lose in regulation, or they even they don't win a game. So yeah, so the Flames are in the playoff spot, so they get brownie points for that. But I chose to knock them down because they were supposed to have been better by now. 7 games in a row is nothing to sneeze at in terms of losing streak. So let's see what happens. Now I'm going to go to the Edmonton Oilers. And I'd say, I wouldn't say their season's a write-off. They are right in the wild card. They're in the mix. But they were supposed to have been better. Not over-relying on McDavid and Draisaitl to bail them out. And it's just defensive lapses all over the map. And, they weren't ready to play a red-hot Devil squad, and ended up losing by a country mile. So that ain't good. On this Wednesday, just as the Flames did on Monday, which is the Oilers did on Monday, remain in the greater New York City area, playing the Islanders in Elmont, just a stone's throw away from the eastern part of the New York City borough of Queens. It's closer than the Islanders have ever been to New York City proper. So yeah, so the Islanders gotta find a way to beat the Islanders in a way the Leafs on Monday at home could not. So yeah, so let's go there. So I'd say the Oilers are. I'd say give them a D in the 50s. I mean, they're in the mix, but they're just out of a playoff spot. They gotta be careful because if they don't smarten their play, if they don't smarten their play up, they will drop down. So now I'm gonna go to the Canucks. Currently 5 points out of the nearest available playoff spot, with 15 points over 19 games. So yeah, it's although the Canucks have played fewer games than San Jose Sharks or LA Kings, when it comes to the bottom 10 teams in the Western Conference, the Canucks have played as many games as the Oilers, Preds, and Ducks, but I've played as many games as those teams. Have played fewer games than the San Jose Sharks, but have played fewer games than any of the Blues, Flames, Wild, Blackhawks, and Coyotes. So Canucks are vulnerable to dropping down, and they're not that far away from the bottom. But again, I'd say that the Canucks, I'd maybe give the Oilers a 55, a little bit more of a convincing pass. The Canucks are around the line of 50. But if they don't start racking up points, I predict the Canucks will, at some time in the next week or so, drop 10 points, 10 points or more out of the nearest available playoff spot. Although that point is where the Senators have almost reached. As of now, the Rangers have 24 points, are in the first wildcard spot, basically tied with the Islanders, but with 12 wins that haven't occurred in shootouts versus 10 by the Rangers. The Isles win the tiebreaker. So the Isles are third with 24 points, 20 games. The Rangers fourth. But effectively it's a tie. It's just that tiebreaker means the Rangers are in a wild card spot, but a bit of a stronger one than the Red Wings. So yeah. So 24 points. The Senators are already 11 points back. What about but with respect to the Red Wings, the Sens are 9 points back. But once the Senators get 10 or more, it's definitely not likely for me. I'm not going to be convinced that the Senators are likely to make it to the Stanley Cup playoffs 2023. But again, with so much going on in Sens land, anything can happen. But again, I don't like the chances the Senators have on their upcoming 3-game road trip. So therefore, I'd have to say that the Senators are quite vulnerable, are indeed the most vulnerable to dropping out, and I give their season an F. The Sens were supposed to be at least somewhat better, at least being competitive, being within 5 points of a wildcard spot as opposed to, I don't know, or maybe even close to a wildcard spot. But they're not, and that's a problem. It's a big problem for the Sens, and that's why I'm going to make, if I were to put a bet on which Canadian team is most likely to miss the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs, I'd have to say the Sens. A Sens squad that was supposed to be quite a bit better and playing meaningful games in March. Well, I don't think they'll be playing too many meaningful games. They could be right out of it by next month, perhaps even this week. Anyway, go Leafs go.